Today is my birthday, guys, my 45th birthday. So I'm going to give you my favorite movie from every year that I've been alive in a giant ranking. So there's a lot of movies to talk about. So let's get started.
Terminator, calling Raven.
Payback time.
Come with me if you want to live.
You just don't turn it off!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema, where we talk movies to the past that you know and love. I'm going to be going through a ranking that I've seen many other people do on YouTube on their birthdays. So I thought, why not? This would be fun. So my favorite film from every year that I've been alive. Now, I have talked about a lot of these movies, so I'm not going to talk about all 45 movies. I just picked, maybe half of them, and then I'll cut you a little montage of the rest of them. But hit me up in the comments if your favorite films of every year you've been alive. We'll have a great discussion about this, and thanks for watching and all that kind of jazz. So without further ado, let's get started. So the year I was born, 1979, I picked Rocky 2. You all know I love this movie. I love the Rocky franchise, and Rocky 2, it's not Rocky Balboa, it's my second favorite Rocky film. And Rocky 2 is just, it's an important film to me because I saw this at such a young age, and it's really the movie that made me fall in love with movies. And I just remember that title card being so awesome. Just the journey Rocky goes on to by doing this incredible thing, by going the distance with the champion, gets all this money, plunders his money, where he starts feeling like he's a nobody again, and then he takes a rematch, and this time wins the belt, and it's got some of the greatest character moments, my favorite fight scene, my favorite training montage. And, Stallone directing this, even though it was mimicking the first one a lot, he wasn't taking too many chances. But then he came into his own with Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 as a director. And if we're talking about Stallone as a director, I think maybe Rambo 4 may be his best directed film. Rocky 2 is awesome, and it just had to sit here. For 1980, I got Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars film. And I like the dark turn it takes. It feels like a completely different movie than the first one. Two of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, Darth Vader and Yoda. I love both these characters so much, and they both get a lot of great dialogue, a lot of great screen time. And like all the characters in this, they give all the characters equal amount of screen time, which really floors me when you watch this movie, because you see so many movies try to do that and it feels crammed and jammed up. They somehow allow all the characters have their moments, let it breathe. It has adventure, it has space battles, the lightsaber fights, the romance, some comedy thrown in there. Just a great, great film. I love the way it ends. That fight with Luke and Vader, the cinematography of it. It's just absolutely beautiful when Darth Vader's standing up on a platform. He's like, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you're not a Jedi yet." I absolutely love that moment so much. And the training sequences with Yoda and Luke, what Luke learns and how he gets humbled. And, oh man, this movie is just so great. Such a good flick. Coming in 1984 is the Terminator. Now, I was just a young, wee kid when I saw this. Fell in love with this movie. This movie is so great. I've been watching this movie like maybe once or twice a year ever since I was like 5. This movie is so good. Arnold is a great villain in this. His performance in this, on him being this cyborg from the future, it's dark, it's brooding. The biggest argument people have with this movie, is it a horror? Is it not a horror? No, it's sci-fi. No, it's an action movie. No, it's a horror film. Really, it comes down to it. It's got elements of everything. It's got horror. It's got science fiction. It's an action movie. But at the heart of it, it's a love story. It is a love story between Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. And so many great elements to the film. It's vicious. It's violent. Great special effects for its time. I know some of them don't hold up as well, but that doesn't bother me because it's the story. The story is so sound in here and something to say about the dangers of artificial intelligence. Great flick, man. Great flick. Coming in for 1985 is Back to the Future. Just one of my favorite movies of all time. Such a great story, man. Such a great story about this, this kid who has a relationship with this older scientist and everything, and he invents this time machine, and Marty, a situation happens. Marty ends up going back to the past where he meets his parents. He screws everything up with the timeline. He's got to fix it. But what's so great is that they have to establish everything so early for when he goes into the past, who we're going to spend time with. So we meet everyone in 1985, and then we meet them at their younger selves in 1955. And they had to set a lot up in a short amount of time, and that's great. Chemistry, the comedy's great. The Johnny B. Good scene is absolutely terrific. It has a lot to say about standing up for yourself, not being pushed around, because these things that will be with you with your whole life if you let it. You know what I mean? And Marty teaches George this, his father, back in the past, and it changes everything. This movie is the quintessential 80s movie for sure. And I just love every aspect of this movie, every aspect of it. It's just one I've been watching ever since I was a kid. Spielberg producing, Robert Zemeckis directing. You're just gonna have magic. All right, coming in, my favorite movie from 1989 is Dead Poet Society. This one I was going back and forth with Batman from 89 because I had such a great theater experience with Batman and Dead Poet Society. Now, over the year, this wasn't my favorite movie in 1989. As a 45-year-old mature man, I love Dead Poet Society, and I had to pick this for 1989. This is such a well-written movie that's, really bleak. It is dark. But it does have some positivity. It does have some happy moments and feel-good moments in it. But it's also a bleak movie because this movie is all about seizing the day. All about, taking life by the horns, putting your best foot forward and doing the best that you can, doing something you're passionate about. Don't get stuck in this rut where you're not enjoying anything you're doing and you're miserable. And that they really talk about this. You know what I mean? It's all about this English teacher at an all-boys school. I think back in the 50s, I'm not sure, 50s, maybe 60s. And he teaches these kids, not to be this regimented reform, doing everything by the book. Be you, seize the day. I love the lessons that Robin Williams teaches them in here. And Robin Williams' performance is absolutely brilliant. And one of the most poetic lines is there's nothing wrong with being doctors, lawyers. We need these kind of people. These people, we need to sustain life. But love, art, music, romance, these are things that we stay alive for the human race. You know what I mean? So it's a deep fucking movie, man. It's a deep movie. And I absolutely just love this flick. Coming in at 1992 is Al Pacino's Scent of a Woman. Another great drama, slow burn, character-driven stuff that I just love. I love this stuff. Taking two characters that are not getting along at first, and then they end up being the best of friends, or a father-son relationship where they both teach each other things, Al Pacino being this miserable fucking goat. He's a sergeant or a lieutenant. He's blind now, so one of his nieces takes care of him, and Charlie needs some money, so he's basically just babysitting this old man. And Al Pacino decides to take one last trip to New York, get his best meal. He just get laid, be with a beautiful woman, all this kind of stuff that he's gonna off himself. And it's a great, great journey of self-discovery, what these two characters go through and what they learn from each other. There's an iconic scene in a courtroom at the end that's just awesome. This is where Al Pacino became famous for hooah, you know what I mean? But great performance, man. Al Pacino just knocks out of the park in this movie. For 1993 is Tombstone. When I saw this movie at 14 years old, I just fell in love with the Western genre on a whole new level. I grew up watching Westerns with my dad. You know, Silverado at that point would have been my favorite from the 80s. But Tombstone is so quotable. It has so many great scenes. It's paced really well for a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday's amazing. Michael Biehn as Johnny Ringo. Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp. Just fantastic. And you get Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton. It's an ensemble piece. It is a great ensemble piece. The gunfights, the tension, the OK Corral shootout, just amazing in this movie. And with every great movie, if you have great good guys, you need great villains. And this movie got great villains in it. Like a lot of them too. Tombstone just, hit a chord with me. And it's, man, just been watching it ever since. It is my favorite Western. Coming at 1996 is The Long Kiss Goodnight. Now, not a lot of people talk about this one. This is a little action flick that predates Bourne Identity, kind of, about this woman, Gina Davis, who doesn't remember who she is. She ends up being this assassin and starts tapping into those, she starts remembering and tapping into those, her killer roots. And it takes you on this great action flick journey of her remembering who she was, and she was a cold-blooded assassin killer. It's a great action flick by Rennie Harlin, one of his best, I would say. A guy who started in horror and moved into the action genre, and I think the action genre is more his forte, I would say. But you get a really funny Samuel Jackson. You get a great performance by Gina Davis. I recommend this one because if you like Bourne Identity, I think you're definitely going to like this one. At 1997 is Good Will Hunting. Now, at this point in the game, I was a teenager. I'd be like 17, 18 years old or something like that. And these kind of movies, these character-driven dramas, were just hitting chords with me a lot, just really resonating with me a lot, these kind of movies. And I just love, you get Ben Affleck, Matt Damon in it, both writers of this, casting someone like Robin Williams. And you get a journey of these two characters, much like Scent of a Woman, about learning about each other. And you get to know more about Will Hunting, who is this genius. He's not taking this God-given gift he has and applying himself because he has issues. He was an abused child, he was an orphan, all this kind of stuff. It's just a great movie, man. A great movie on moving past the dark side of your life and applying yourself. And you get a friendship between Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. You get the friendship that forms between Robin Williams and Matt Damon. There's a lot of layers going on in this movie. It's a great movie, and I suggest everyone, if you haven't seen it, to watch this one. The dialogue is fantastic. One of the most well-written movies ever, and performances are on point. Good Will Hunting is fantastic. Coming in at 1998 is Saving Private Ryan. This is Spielberg giving a love letter to his father. You know what I mean? His father who fought in World War II. And he went for realism. You got realism. And this movie still holds up to this day about the attack on the beaches of Normandy. That opening scene where they're on the beach, attacking the beach, is brutal. It's shot so well. It has such a great style to it. It's gritty, it's raw. The sound effects, if you have a home theater system, it's mind-blowing, this scene. Gotta be one of the greatest scenes in film history, man. And then you get Tom Hanks as this captain. He leads this team to find this one kid who's, all his brothers have died in the war. So they want to find this kid, bring him back home. So at least they can send one son back to his mother. And the film is just all about that ultimate sacrifice. All these men sacrificing themselves for one person, you know what I mean? One person. There's a huge conflict of like, we're going we're going to sacrifice our whole team for this one person. It will move you to tears because Matt Damon's character ends up growing up being this old man and is forever grateful of this sacrifice this team made for him. And, he ended up having a family, and then, they have kids. So he has grandkids. And man, yeah, it will really touch you, man, on just sacrifice and what all these men went through to give us freedom, man. It's really will hear. This movie will really make you feel grateful for the everyday things we take for granted. So great flick, man. Now we're getting to the mid 2000s. This was where I was in my mid 20s. This is where I started dating my wife, and the years I got married, started having kids, all that stuff. So there's a lot of movie memories here. There's a lot of memories, of these kind of films. So coming in at 2005 is Batman Begins. This is a great movie. This is a great origin story. One of my favorite origin stories. The way they told this story of Batman and the central theme of fear, and how Batman uses bats as, fear, the symbolic nature of the bat, because that's what scared him, I thought was brilliant. Christopher Nolan really showing what he's made out of. And he just won an Oscar for Oppenheimer as I'm recording this video. So, man, you know what? This guy is a very talented director who really knows how to tell a story. And this one has a great story to it. It has great performances in it. And I really do love this. This may be my favorite, actually, out of the three, out of Batman, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. I just think this is a better Batman film than all the rest of them. It's just a great origin Batman film. And the style he tells the story in, by starting, he's in the present and going back to the past and all that kind of stuff, fleshing out all the characters, some great dialogue in here. Just absolutely love Batman for sure. 2006, we got Rocky Balboa, the return of Rocky after it was been 16 years or something like that. What an epic movie. I was so jacked for it. I was watching the trailer every single day at work on the computer. Every day I watched this trailer, man. And this was also a time where I met my wife. We were dating. We were just a couple months dating, and we took her father to come to the theater with us to see this. Man, what a great experience this movie was. This was such a good movie. It was everything I would hope for. It was better. It was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Stallone proving everybody wrong again. This time, very much like the first movie, but telling a story about as you age, you start losing everything. And Rocky loses Adrian, and he's in this state of just grief. That's what it is, man. The central theme is just grief and how to get past that. And Rocky does it through fighting. So he takes on this fight with the champion like an exhibition fight. You know what I mean? That he still has some stuff left in the basement, and it has all the Rocky-isms that you would want out of it. One of the greatest speeches of all time that he tells his son about, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean, brutal world. It's not how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Just great stuff in this movie. How could we not love some Rocky Balboa? At 2007, we got Death Sentence. Death Sentence is a great film with Kevin Bacon with mind-blowing performances. A gritty, dark, harkens back to a 70s Death Wish kind of darkness, you know what I mean? And it's based off the same book as Death Wish. So it's essentially the same story with Kevin Bacon losing a son, though. And how this affects his family, how he can't just let go, and he goes after revenge, but it shows the dangers of revenge. And he ends up losing his whole family, His wife gets killed. His son's already dead. His other son gets hurt. And this movie is horrific, man. Like, this should be a horror. This is a horror film, man. This will get into your bones. If you have a family, you're going to completely understand what Kevin Bacon's going through. We get Kelly Preston as the wife in this, who's absolutely fantastic in this. Rest in peace, Kelly Preston. Man, she is just great in this movie. We get really realistic villains, if you know what I mean, and just some brutal action in this. Visceral, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's gory, and just a character-driven piece, you know what I mean? And just, I love this movie. At 2008, we got Ip Man. Now, I didn't watch Ip Man in 2008. I only watched it about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. My favorite martial arts film now of all time. Even better than The Raid, as far as I'm concerned, because it's got more characters to it. More character-driven, it's more story. And it's based off Bruce Lee's teacher, the guy who taught Bruce Lee, called Ip Man. And it is a great story, some great fight scenes. And Ip Man has this family. He's very wealthy. He's considered the best of the best in martial arts. And all these other teachers who run these schools come to, to fight him, to come to, see how good he really is and all that kind of stuff. He goes from wealthy to dirt poor because China gets bombed and the war happens, and then he's just like got no money. His family's barely surviving, but all he has is the martial arts, right? The martial arts is so much a part of Ip Man, and they really show that because the martial arts affects his family life. It affects all the relationship with his son. You also see him do amazing things with it. I mean, there's a scene where he fights 10 men at a time. That's awesome. And then he fights this Japanese sergeant or lieutenant or something at the end of the movie. That is just phenomenal. It is an absolutely great fight scene. Donnie Yen is just amazing in this movie, and his acting's really great. And it's a great franchise. It's all 4 movies I think are really good. So don't miss out on Ip Man. It's a really good flick. Coming out 2012 is The Impossible. Now, this is my favorite disaster movie. The story's about a family where they're on vacation somewhere and the tsunami happens. It's just the way it's filmed and shot. It is shot from like you're right in it with them. You know what I mean? You feel everything in this movie. It's got Naomi Watts. It's got Tom Holland as the son and Ewan McGregor. And this family gets split apart, and it's their journey of finding all each other again after this big disaster happens. And this is a realistic disaster movie. This isn't a Roland Emmerich kind of, popcorn fun disaster movie. This thing will make you feel and like, holy shit, what am I watching here? Because it's so damn realistic, man, and it's such a good movie. So I had to mention this one for 2012. Coming in at 2013 is The Conjuring. Now, between Exorcism of Emily Rose and this movie are the scariest movies I've ever seen. Now, they may not be too scary to a lot of you, but it has a lot to do with my beliefs, spiritual beliefs, Christian belief, all that kind of stuff. So these movies just got to me on a different level. But The Conjuring, I think, has great characters. I think James Wan does this old school 70s approach of filmmaking with this to really get the scares. There's very little scares, but that's why it works, because he builds them up first. To every jump scare or scare, he builds it. There's tension and there's atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. And following the Warrens around is a lot of fun. They're a great on-screen couple with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. Great stuff there. The wardrobe scene's fantastic. The end possession scene is fantastic, like the exorcism at the end. And, the one scene where the girl doesn't see anything behind the door. She's like, there's someone behind the door, and that girl just sells it, man. Just sells it. Scary fucking flick, man. My kind of movie. Coming out 2019 is Ford v Ferrari, or I think it's called Ford versus Ferrari, something like that. I fell in love with this movie. I watched it last summer for the first time, and it instantly went, yep, 2019, yep. What a great year, by the way, for movies. 2019 was a stacked year for freaking flicks, man. I loved this movie. I haven't felt this kind of warm feelings, these really feel good kind of movie, even though it kind of ends a bit on a sad note, but it's still a really feel good movie like Rocky. It gave me the same feelings that Rocky gives me. And without giving anything away, because I think you guys should watch this movie if you haven't seen it. You know, it centers around this big car race at the end. You know what I mean? And I don't want to give too much away, but it's filmed fantastically. I just absolutely love the way they shoot the this car race and everything like that. You got, again, Matt Damon in this movie is great. Christian Bale is absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite roles he has done. These two guys are trying to build and race this Ford Mustang, this Ford racing car to beat Ferrari in this epic race. And you got, you know, guys who are set up as villains. You got all these obstacles and villains within Ford that these guys got to overcome too. So there's a lot of overcoming things and all that kind of stuff and friendships, and just what a great movie, man. This was a great movie. I don't say that a lot about a lot of modern movies that I'm watching, but when I watched this, I just wanted to watch it again. It was great. Coming out 2020 is Promising Young Woman. Now, man, this movie just floored me. It was a real eye-opener. Not that not the message of this was I needed that eye-opener. I mean, I know stuff like this goes on, college dorms, whatever have you. You know, women being taken advantage of. We all know girls constantly have to look out for themselves with the date rape pill and all that kind of stuff when they're out with friends and stuff like that. So, but I'm just glad there was a director who just took that and really exposed and said, look, this is kind of shit that's going on that's just destroying lives. It's also this very good story about this woman who just won't let go of her friend was a victim of a gang rape, and she just can't let this go. So she goes out seducing these men, you know what I mean, exposing them for who they really are. And I loved it. It was a revenge flick. And along the movie, she finds love and she lets that go. She finally starts to let go, but something, I won't let you know, brings her back into it. The ending may piss a lot of people off. I loved it a lot. And there's just a lot of scenes in here that are just going to punch you in the fucking balls. And there's a lot of scenes that are just extremely hard to watch for me. And Carey Mulligan just gave us a great performance, man. This is a completely different take on a revenge horror flick. And again, it's one that's playing around with different genres. At one point, you're watching a revenge flick. Sometimes you're watching a comedy, a rom-com almost. Then you're getting into real dark thriller kind of stuff. And I think the score is fantastic. It's beautifully directed, this movie. This doesn't happen very often, but when this come out, I watched it 7 times within 2 weeks. The movie just really grabbed me. And I haven't watched it since that, but because it's a hard watch. It's a hard watch, but it was just a fantastic movie. Coming out 2021 is The Last Duel. I love this flick. Done by Ridley Scott, doing a historical epic kind of movie about this duel between these two friends, Matt Damon and Adam Driver. Film that went under the radar, as I believe, but it's a great film in the sense that Ridley Scott tells the story through like 3 different perspectives about why they want to duel in the first place, the situation that happens, but you see the situation told from Matt Damon's point of view, from the lady's point of view, like our main actress here, and Adam Driver's point of view, his best friend. And he combines it all, and then there's this last duel that's absolutely fantastic. Performances are top notch, and just my kind of, epic historical drama kind of flick. I've heard Napoleon's not that great by Ridley Scott, but this was great. The Last Duel, tapping into, that gladiator kind of filmmaking, you know what I mean? And I just like the way he told the story. I thought was really genius. Coming out 2022 is Prey. After that shitstorm of The Predator, one of the worst Predator movie ever fucking made, they decide to go back to the roots. What makes Predator great? They give us Prey, about a predator going back to the 1700s. We get this young warrior girl who wants to prove herself. And now all of us were like, I hope this is not Pocahontas versus the Predator. We didn't think this movie was going to be this good. Now, I will say it's not as good as everyone was making it out to be. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's a great movie, but it's not the original Predator. Let's be fucking honest, man. Like, the original Predator is in a class all by itself, man. But I love what they did with this movie. You know, there's certain aspects there's certain nitpicks here and there, but I thought the camera work was beautiful. I thought the music was great. I like how it was like this Western kind of feel to it. I wasn't big on the look of the Predator, but I like the character of the Predator, and that's how he's got more archaic weapons to his standards. And you do get some great scenes of him going up through the food chain. You know, he fights, he rips, you know, he hunts a snake and a rabbit, then a fucking wolf, and then he does a grizzly bear that he's on to humans. So it's telling you, it's really the story that says this is why these predators will hunt humans, because they are worthy. You know what I mean? You get the odd one who's really worthy of the hunt. And the movie, you know, goes back to that. The hunt. This movie, Predator, is all about the fucking hunt. And then we stray away from this. We strayed away from being afraid of the Predator. This female warrior in this Native American tribe, you know, is scared of this thing. She sees the thing in action with this grizzly bear, and she's terrified. And man, why did we stray away from that through a lot of these movies and making the Predator out to be a joke, all that kind of stuff. So I like how they brought that back. But I am warning people, if they keep up with this, doing this same story, going back to samurai, or going back to this time, or going back to that time, or going to World War II, or going here, it's gonna get stale fast. You know what I mean? So I still think we need to make a movie about the culture of the predators, like on their planet, or them going off to another planet, about them. Make it about them now. You know what I mean? But that's another story. This film was great. My favorite film of 2022. And my favorite film, the last movie, 2023. I haven't seen a lot of movies from 2023 yet. I am still catching up. I haven't seen all those Oscar movies yet and all that jazz, but I'm going to go with Air. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon doing what they do best. Ben Affleck being a really great director. Matt Damon, great actor. Telling the story of the Nike company getting Michael Jordan to come to their company, selling shoes, making shoes for him, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the whole movie's about shoes. Nike shoes, you know what I mean? And I thought it was fantastic. It was interesting all the way through. I loved Matt Damon's character, how he saw something in Michael Jordan that no one else was seeing. Michael Jordan's mother, the actress, I forget her name now at this moment. She was fantastic in this movie. And I thought it was a really good drama. I just thought it was a really good character-driven drama, great dialogue, well written, good directing by Ben Affleck. And I mean, you get Ben Affleck and Matt Damon together, you're usually always going to get something pretty good. That is it, guys. That's my favorite film from every year I've been alive. Let me know yours in the comments below. That was a good discussion. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the like button, all that jazz. Stay for the end card. I'll put related content there so you can go down the rabbit hole, check out the channel. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I will see you next time, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.